All right, folks, thanks for being here. We'll open up today's press conference. Dave Biddle, and again, one question each, please. Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Hi, Ryan. The intensity is always, through the roof in a game like this, especially this game. It might be even more intense this year. How much have you talked to your guys about keeping their composure, kind of not being that second guy that gets caught doing something?
Yeah, I think that's important. You have to play with emotion. You can't let emotion play with you. I think that's important. You have to have your emotions in check, which isn't easy in a game like this because, as we all know, how the magnitude of it all. But it's something that we identified in the off season. So, and we'll talk about this week.
Bill Landis, the podcast.
Ryan, the way your run game has evolved this year just looks much better now over the last month than it did earlier. What was the process like of kind of landing on the things that work best for you, and just generally, how do you feel about where you're at right now?
Yeah, going to keep getting tested, but I feel like we've made some progress in different areas. I think certainly Trey coming back has made a big impact on that, but everybody is involved with it. And it's balance. But I think identifying each week what's worked for us and what hasn't, and fixing those things just over time, getting better. And I think the infusion of Trey has certainly helped.
Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
Ryan, given some of the backstory with J.J. McCarthy and Kyle McCord and the recruitment that went on there, how do you keep Kyle from trying to prove you right in this game?
Well, I think there's a lot going on here, and I think what we've done all season is in preparation for this game, the way that we've prepared, the way we've evaluated each game, the way we've talked about each game, our focus in the offseason, our focus in the preseason, and our focus during the season. So, like I told the guys on Sunday, we've been preparing for this moment all year, and so now we just need to continue on the routines that we've been on, and be the best team we've been all season, but at the same time focusing on those things, and it'll be the same for Kyle.
Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, when do you think you really grasp the magnitude of this game? I know you can hear about it from the outside, and maybe even the first couple times you experience it, it's a big game. But when did you really understand what this game means to Ohio State?
I think every year you just learn more and more. I guess this will be my 6th time in the game, so you learn quickly when you're here, but each year you learn more, and it has more of a significant impact on you as a person, and I think all of our guys, when they come here, whether it's a coach or a player, they're here for one reason, to win that game. And so, and I guess every year that you're here, you learn about that more and more. But my youngest daughter doesn't know any other place other than Ohio. So, this world means the world to me and my family.
On McCarthy, McCord thing, but when you guys are recruiting quarterbacks, you're looking at multiple people when you're evaluating that. When you're trying to decide who's in the hierarchy on the board and whatnot, are there certain things that you're looking for that maybe separate one guy from another guy?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not just one thing, but there's a lot that you look at. Leadership, competitiveness, toughness. There's just so many things that you do. The difficult thing now is starting recruiting at younger ages, and certain guys are being evaluated as freshmen and sophomores, and then you continue to evaluate. Then you have guys like Lincoln, who we evaluated his senior year. So, and then you try to compare the best you can. But there's not one thing other than competitiveness is one that for sure is high on the list.
I just wanted to follow up Kyle and JJ. What do you remember about recruiting JJ, and what was it about Kyle that ultimately led you to him?
There's all kinds of things that lead into recruiting, and JJ was always great. He was very respectful. He was a very competitive player, and got a lot of respect for him as a player and as a person. And during the recruiting cycle, you spend time with different people and different folks, and you learn about people. And again, all my interactions with he and his family were very classy.
Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
Kind of go back to the concept of the intensity, and I know you've done a good job of avoiding all the other questions we've had about the way that this year's game has been changed. But how is that not personal for you and for the staff this year? And how have I guess you just personally tried to put those feelings aside, whatever might be going on there, and focus on the task?
Yeah, because I think, not that it's easy, but the only thing that matters is this game, is this team, is preparing. The rest of it doesn't matter. So that's what we have to do. We have got to stay disciplined enough to focus on that. And it goes back to the conversation about emotion, letting, emotion of the game and everything get in the way. We can't do that. And every year you learn more and more about this game and the preparation for it. So we're not going to let any of that stuff get in our way in terms of distractions. We're just going to focus on this team, this season, and preparing the best we possibly can.
Austin Ward, podcast.
Ryan, this is an outside observation, so I don't know if you'll agree with it or not, but going into the game last year, you just seemed pretty uptight to me, and that was very different when you went into the Peach Bowl. I don't know if you've noticed a difference, if that's something you can control consciously, if that's just the pressure of the game. I don't know, but if the team takes the cue from you, is that something that's on your mind, and did you notice a difference for those two games a year ago?
I think every year you evaluate what's gone on, and you try to do the best you can to make sure that you fix the things that don't go well and you enhance the things that do go well. I think there was a lot of things that went on, in the game looking back on it, and so you learn from it and you move on.
Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, the fact that Kyle has played in a top 10 game at the time at Notre Dame and gone through the experience of a tight, competitive game against Big Ten, what experience did you learn about him from that moment, and how can that help him Saturday, obviously?
Yeah, anytime you have experience in a game like this, it makes a big difference, and it's something to go back upon, which is good. He's a very smart player who, understands situations, and when you've been in those type of situations before, you have something to grab onto and refer to, and you have a reference point. And I think that all helps in preparation.
Did you learn something or take away something from that, from seeing him go through that?
Yeah, just watching him play and doing it and learning about the things that he excelled at.
Clay Hall, WSYX.
Seems like this rivalry was built on respect. Even in the 10-year war, at the heart of it, Woody and Bo respected each other. Because of what's happened, this investigation, it doesn't seem like that now. Does that sadden you, or does it energize you?
I think, I was taught that, the way you respect a rivalry is to work it every day. And whether it's in the, the weight room, whether it's, game planning, talking to your players, periods in practice in the, during the spring, periods in practice in the preseason, and that's it. And so, we respect the rivalry, and certainly excited to play here on Saturday.
Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Ryan, you referred to your team as road warriors at points this year. Is there something special about this team going on the road more times than any team at Ohio State in a long time and getting it done, and to have this one be on the road? Is there something a little bit special about that? Even though I know you guys love playing the shoe, but it seems like the road has been kind of friendly to you.
Well, yeah, and we have the schedule right over there, and I point to all those white blocks right there. The teams we knew we had to go on the road this season more than we had in the past, and certainly knew we had to go on the road for this one. So, like I said before, it's all in preparation for the last game of the year, and so it's been great to get tested, to get battle tested. So again, you talk about reference point. Our team does have a reference point. It'll be loud. It'll be hostile, great environment. But we've been in those before, and so again, a reference point going into the game is important.
Joe Nugent, WCMH.
How important is it to have success in the running game in this game, considering the way that this rivalry has played out over the last 2 decades?
It's extremely important. Yeah. I mean, it's there's a lot of things that are important, but that's extremely high on the list.
Cameron Teague Robinson, The Athletic.
Michigan's obviously has a really good defense, especially in the red zone. What's it take to execute at an extremely high level against a defense like that in the red zone?
Well, first off, they haven't had very many snaps down there, so there's not a ton to go off of. But you gotta, every yard is worth 2 or 3 down there, and you got to do a great job execution. The field gets smaller. We call it the 12 defenders at end line, and so you just got to operate in a smaller area. And so you got to be efficient. But that'll be another situation that'll be huge in the game. You know, those 4-point plays where you're the kicking field goals or scoring touchdowns on both sides of the ball.
Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch.
Similar to Clay's question, this rivalry's been heated for over 100 years. It's very intense, but there's always been respect among players, or between players, it seems like. Does that hold true for coaches? Do you respect Jim Harbaugh and his staff, or what's the feel there?
Yeah, I think, you know, with everything going on and the things, you know, that are out there, we just kind of stayed away from all the distractions we have, you know, and just focused on our team. And I think our guys have done a good job of it. You know, I think, you know, when you talk to our guys, you know, I've talked to them a couple of times about, you know, what's gone on this season and you know, going into the game. But, you know, they're focused on this game. They're focused on this season. They're focused on their preparation. And we're just going to continue on that.
Coach, you give them a game plan, you work all week. On game day, how important is it, though, for them to go out there, play loose, play fast? What's the mission?
Yeah, that's it. You know, it's our job to give them a good plan, let them go play, and you know, then they can go out there and you know, compete at the highest level, and that's what you want as a coach. So you know, we got to have a good scheme. We got to do a great job with that, but at the same time, you know, we got to allow them to go play. And that's what it comes down to in big games. And it's going to be 4 quarters. It's going to be a battle. And, you know, the good news is, again, this is something we've been preparing for all year.
Adam King, WBNS.
Your emotion on the sideline, and you know, we've seen it every now and then. We saw it at Georgia. We saw it after the Notre Dame game. How do you pick and choose those spots? And how much do you think your emotional, you know, state kind of impacts the team getting them hyped up?
Yeah, I think you have to know your team. You have to know what's going on each week. You know, sometimes it just pours out. Other times, you know, you feel like you got to give your guys a little something. But you also want consistency. But you know, the guys in the locker room know how competitive we all are and how competitive I am. But like you said, you have to keep your emotions in check, and that's going to be, you know, starting from the head down. It's got to start from me. You know, we have to go in there and execute at a high level and handle the environment.
Going back to kind of what Dave was saying about the intensity of the game, that tunnel has turned into kind of a gladiator pit before. Have you had any talks about what you might do, how to handle that pregame to avoid something happening?
Yeah, we've had conversations already. They've been, you know, folks have been talking about it here for a couple weeks and put some good plans together, again, to make sure that we can focus on what matters, and that's getting on the field and playing football.
Brandon Gulick, Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated.
Coach, you know, you've referenced the fact that you prepare for this game all the time. It's constantly part of your program. So how much do you reflect on your preparations for this game the week leading up to it in years past? Do things change? What's the vibe right now as you get ready for this game compared to where it was this week a year ago?
Yeah, I think you look at that in the offseason for sure. You just dive in. You try to identify, okay, let's talk about everything. Let's talk about the scheme. Let's talk about the preparation. Let's talk about, you know, leading up to the game. Let's talk about all of those things. And then you try to identify, so what exactly happened in the game. And then you learn from there, and you grow from there, and you make adjustments from there. And then that's kind of how you shape your season. You know, that's how you shape your off season. And then you learn about your team. You know, you learn about, you know, there's a lot of information that comes in during the season, and you grow from there, and you build from there. You know, all in preparation for this one. So, yeah, you certainly look at all those things. But at this point, you know, a lot of those decisions have been made.
Deep left, Katie Kapusta, Spectrum One.
Ryan, with so much changing next year, this game might not have as much on the line. I guess, what do you relish about an opportunity like this, and what will you miss about something like this type of game?
Yeah, I don't know if that'll be the case. I'm sure there'll always be just as much on the line when these two teams play. And, you know, certainly it'll be different, but, you know, I don't think it'll change anything just on the format. You know, it's always going to be this way. And, you know, the format certainly will change next year, but I don't think the rivalry will ever be anything less than it is right now.
Andy Andrews, 11 Warriors.
Yeah, just this feels like the ultimate test for the offensive line in terms of the progression they've made over the course of the season. Just where's your confidence level at with that group right now, and what are you seeing from them in preparation?
Yeah, you're seeing improvement every week. You're seeing a group that works together. You're seeing progressions, you know, individually and as a unit. And so, they're going to do a great job today of getting out there on a Tuesday practice and working at their craft and preparing to go play at a high level and then go compete for 4 quarters. But like you said, week in and week out, we come in, we talk about the progress in different areas. I think you've seen it in that area. So, I think their confidence is as high as it's been all season.
Far left, Jeff Gilbert, Press Pros.
Coach, defense, how excited, your emotions, expectations after the last 2 seasons against Michigan are you to see that defense be on the field Saturday?
Yeah, no, it's, again, same thing. Just adjustments needed to be made. Not just this year, the year before as well. And so, here we are. Got to go put it on the field. But again, I think you're going to see a confident group going out there.
Andy Backstrom, Letterman Row.
Right, I know you mentioned the reference points that Kyle has, but what about his development from the start of this whole thing, the quarterback competition, to now? Gives you confidence that he's the guy on Saturday?
Yeah, no, you see him executing plays. You see it in practice. And then it carries over to the field. And that's what you want. Now, ultimately, we got to take care of the football, win a game. That's the bottom line here. And, the good news is he's got a great group around him, and he's been in these environments before. So a lot of things in his favor going into the game, but now he's got to go put it on the field.
Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
You guys have only been in a couple of really tight games. Michigan's been in one, really. How much of this game is a mystery to you? And that usually through 11 games, you have a pretty good feel of who you are, who they are. It's probably a little different. How much unknown is there in your mind?
I feel like we've been tested at different times this year. With the growth of the quarterback, we've been in games at halftime where we were winning. We've been in games where it's been close. We've been in games where we've been losing. So we've had to win games in the fourth quarter. We've had games where we've pulled away from teams. So I think we've learned a lot about this team. I think they're again a more mature and veteran team than in the past. Many of these guys have played in this game before. So, I feel like I have a good feel for who we are and who our identity is.
Doug Maurice, Kings of the North.
You've always talked about needing to play your best football in November. Obviously, that applies even more to this game. And you've been talking about you have to learn from the past, right? But to get your guys to play their best game, like mentally and emotionally, right? That's what you can control. You play your best game on Saturday. What do you have to do as a coach and a staff to really do that? How much do coaches and coaching staffs influence that, or is it kind of up to the guys to do that? And how do you think in your time here, have you guys played your best games against Michigan on this final Saturday in November, or do you feel like maybe you haven't at times?
I think you look at the routine. I think that's something you grab onto in big weeks. That's why you set routines. That's why we talk to our team about routines. And that's, in big games, that's what you grab onto to make sure you stay on that routine, and it's a productive process to make sure you're covering everything you need to cover in terms of preparation. And again, we've had, great opportunities to take a look and see how things have gone down, why they've gone down, and regroup every season and try to identify the things that we got to improve at. So, it's been this has been a great group to build with. They're a great group to coach, and we're going to have another great week of practice right now, and I can't wait to see these guys play on Saturday.
Jeremy Birmingham, podcast.
Ryan, for all the success you guys have had here since you've been here, 2017, starting on the offensive coordinator and then taking over in 2019, there's only a handful of guys that were on that 2019 team that have beat this team. The tenor of the entire rivalry has changed in the last couple of years. You get the COVID year, which maybe threw a giant wrench into things. How different is this week feel for you now than it did when you started here? And do you think that it was a change that has been necessary for the guys in the building?
I don't know. I think it's a good question, but we take every year as it is and go from there. But there's guys with scars, and I'm one of them, and so it just drives you every day to work harder and to make sure you do everything you possibly can to win the game.
And final questions, Tim May Show.
You say questions or question? Ryan, obviously everybody knows 2 versus 3, undefeated collision. The ramifications of this game are enormous, the result. But how much...
I keep going, Tim?
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to stress it. But how much freedom comes with knowing you're going into a game where really all that matters is the W, the win? Does it, you've been in many
Sure.
of these, what does it kind of change about you?
Well, no, yeah, we say in those matchup games it could come down to one play, and we have to play those games that way. We've been in a couple of those this season. We talk about those games. Not that any game is any different, but it could come down to one play, and you got to be on your game, and you got to win the situations.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
Can you have any kind of injury update? Anything?
I don't right now. Yeah, no.
Coach,